Couple of years down the road, you wake up to a familiar and comforting sound. The sound that you wake up to every single morning, and it never fails to put a smile upon that face. It's this like robot voice kind of going like wakey wakey, eggs and bakey, wakey wakey,
Uh,
eggs and bakey. What?
It's it's not just a robot, but specifically a robotic voice.
Yeah. So you open your eyes and you see this like mechanical robot thing kind of like hop down off of your the thing that the table they keep next to your bed and like scurries into like the kitchen, and you can already smell the sizzling bacon being prepared for you in your kitchen.
You gotta start that bacon in a cold pan.
Oh, it knows what it's doing.
Okay, good.
It
Okay.
is, after all, the Bacon Bot 3000.
The bacon bot. I have a robot specifically for bacon
It
purposes.
wakes you up. It wakes you up in the morning and then it cooks you bacon.
I don't I don't need that. I don't need that. I don't need bacon every day. Are you kidding me? I don't need that. I
Well,
don't.
you ended up winning it in a contest at work. It was a limbo contest that you're working at like this like customer service type job for this company that just does like their so essentially it is a small customer service kind of uh upstart, that kind of leases itself out, licenses itself out to different places when they need extra customer service, customer
Okay.
service that goes the extra mile. Okay. So you guys are like
Hmm.
you're kind of like what are those things in like military contractors except for customer service.
More like guns for hire.
Yeah. The
You
name
have to
of
work a lot of different types of software, use a bunch of different CRMs, that whole thing.
And it's not just that. It goes beyond that into the way that you're able to resolve issues and treat the customers with a respect that they don't always deserve, but you have to give, of
Okay. Yeah, I've been there.
course. So you're working for this company and it's going, it's going pretty okay there. It's called um Fallen Stars Customer Service.
Oh, what? Fallen stars?
Yeah, and like the it has like really intense, like vaguely occult imagery, but it's that's just like it's um logo. Working
What's
there
the
is
name?
fine.
Fallen stars?
So the founder was this guy named Abraham Jonas, and he was this guy. He was walking in the desert one night, and he looked up and he saw and people will say later on, well, no, what you saw was, they're not actually, shooting stars. They're just, material, you know, getting set on fire in the atmosphere or whatever. They're not really shooting stars. But
Yeah.
he knows in his heart that he saw 1 million stars fall from the sky. and he saw it fall towards the earth, and he like fell down on his knees, and he like started screaming. And then when he opened his eyes, like, things were back to normal. And it just
What
inspired
the
him to
fuck?
start. And that inspired him to start this customer service company.
That makes no fucking sense. How
So
how does he tie that to customer service?
he just, when he opened his eyes and he was on his knees, he thought to himself, the first thought he had was, this is what a customer feels like when they need help on their
Man,
knees in the desert. So Abraham Jonas, he started Fallen Stars customer service. And at their annual Christmas party, they had a contest. It was a limbo contest, and these guys, they know you, but they don't know, they don't know everything about you. They don't know your past. They don't know that they're talking to or deal and working with the six-time Dupo Limbo champion. You've always had the ability, ever since you were young, to be able to limbo with the best of them.
my limbo passed.
Yeah,
I this is not that's not I no,
you're
that's like
you're past as a limbo champion.
that's
So
not something I've ever been good at or would like nothing about me makes me think I would be good at that.
that's why that's why it was such a notable win, because people are like, holy shit, Aaron, like, we didn't think you could do that. One of the guys there, he he's a security guard, and he's had, I'm not gonna say he's had one too many, but he is feeling no pain. And he goes, his name is Roscoe Kincaid, and he's the head of security for Fallen Stars customer service. And he goes, yeah, Aaron, to look at you, man, I did not think you could do that. No offense, but just your body and all. And he
Yeah,
kind of
thanks,
like,
Doc.
and he kind of like gestures to you from like top to
Yeah, I
bottom.
get it. I get it. Why is
And
he so
so
cruel?
usually is, he's just, he busts balls, he's a ball buster, but he keeps you safe. You always feel safe around Roscoe Kincaid. Just don't give him a reason to, bust your balls.
I'm a
So,
fat person.
so that's, so that's, so that's how you won the Bacon Bot 3000. So you smell that sizzling bacon, and you're
I don't
like,
want bacon every day. I mean, I want bacon every day, but I'm not gonna have bacon every fucking day. I'm
so
not doing it.
The Bacon Bot 3000 knows how to cook perfectly several different types of bacon. So there's regular bacon, there's turkey bacon, veggie bacon, mystery bacon, the
What the
four
fuck is
main types
mystery
of
bacon?
bacon.
The fuck is mystery bacon?
Mystery bacon is just like a special type of tofu that is grown by this insane group of monks who live in the Swiss Alps. They've gone completely insane, and they preach you know heretical doctrine about the creation of the earth. Uh, but they make their own type of tofu there, and it's marketed as mystery bacon, but it's created by these insane monks in the Swiss Alps.
It's like bacon flavored tofu.
It's
Like
yeah, it's
it's
it's like healthy for you. It's good.
okay. Okay, because like everyday bacon is not good.
No, no, it's not. Even
You
though
shouldn't be doing that.
the bacon industry has come pretty far a couple years down the road as far as making the bacon that they create and certify as healthy yet delicious as possible.
As possible being the
I mean, look,
key.
they're not all healthy. Look, say what you want
Sure,
about the bacon industry in America, but they know that sometimes people like to, let their hair down, so to speak, enjoy themselves some fatty bacon in the morning. We're
sure, I
adults,
get that. But I'm just saying, you're telling me I have a robot that will give me bacon on command. Like that's not good for me. That's not like that is not good for me because I don't think I would have a lot of self-control.
So the thing that's really good about the Bacon Bot 3000 is that you actually can set it ahead of time about what time you want your alarm aspect, what time you want it to be woken up, when you want that bacon to start sizzling, and what most importantly, what type of bacon. So at the beginning of the week, every Sunday evening after the sun goes down, you schedule your bacon for the week. And you're able to go, okay, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm going to have mystery bacon. And then Thursday, turkey bacon. Friday, uh, turkey bacon. But on Saturday,
Yeah,
ooh,
on the weekend when the wolves come
brother.
out.
And when your finger practically like is shaking with excitement as you schedule actual bacon on Saturday. And
Saturday bacon.
yeah, your Saturday bacon. And as you do it, you kind of like do a mini wolf howl under your breath
Mm.
as you
Yeah, man.
schedule in. You go, how. But you also
All
make
right.
sure that like no one's around when you do it because you would feel really embarrassed if anyone heard.
Yeah, that'd be a humiliating thing to do in front of another person. You'd be an insane person.
So you get out of bed, you do all your stuff and you leave. You go outside to get the mail. You walk out onto your porch, and the way it works is you work or you live rather in like a townhome situation.
Yeah,
Uh, and so you don't. It's a type of thing where you don't share a front porch, but it's like the same um
like a stoop.
foundation, yeah. And so
Yeah,
and there's things in between them separating, your front porch territory or however you want to put
sure.
it. But so your neighbor is sitting out there. You see her pretty much every morning. Um,
Every morning.
she's a an older woman, she appears to be in her like she's probably like in like her mid to late 70s.
Yeah.
She is a retired like scream queen from like way back in the day in Hollywood.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, she was in a bunch of like kind of really not great, but definitely a few iconic horror films from back in the day
Yeah.
in the like 60s and 70s and stuff.
Okay. So she was like known.
Yeah, like a B movie scream queen.
What movie was she known for?
The so critics will tell you that her name is Lorna St. Stevens, and critics will tell you that Lorna St. Stevens' best work is the movie. It's called "I Married a Racist."
I married a racist.
Yeah, and it's a horror. It's kind of interesting. It's a little ahead of its time, where it's a movie where it's about a woman who marries this guy and then
A racist.
yeah, and then finds out that he's got like a real problem with like several groups of people, and that And at first, the
How
horror
does that not
is,
come up beforehand? How did you not learn that throughout your entire courtship?
I'm not saying it's a well written movie. I'm just telling you what happens. So the part at first, the horror is just like him, making these, even for the time, not particularly great remarks about, Puerto
People of
Ricans,
color.
Puerto Ricans specifically.
Okay, specifically Puerto Ricans.
And she's like, huh. And then later on, it turns into like a metaphor where a monster shows up, but the monster is racism, but it also has like, the tagline of the film is and racism has fangs, dot dot dot. So it's like a personification, of the husband's racism. And so there's a
How the
monster in
fuck
it.
did
So it's a movie where like in
this
this
movie
it
sounds
was
like absolute dog shit?
it was made in 1968 though, dude. Like even though
I
it
married a
does it,
racist.
yeah, it's the first horror film to like explicitly call out racism, I guess. So
So she has like an iconic scream moment in that movie.
yeah. There's just the cinematographer that worked on it just really knew how to work with like the color blue. And so there's several shots in this film that have been since parodied into pop culture of like there's like a recurring motif of like her like looking out a window, into the night, and it's shot with like a blue hue that and just there's something about her looking out that window, sometimes in silhouette, that really kind of etched a spot in B movie horror history. It just looks really cool, It's just
Okay.
they did a really good job. So it's since been parodied multiple times, It's kind of just become a part of pop culture. So um so that's the one that the critics say is the best. However, the one that most people, Saint Stephen's heads, they call themselves the cult of Saint Stephen's. The cult of Saint Stephen's, their favorite, like pretty much to a man, like the ones who were like huge fans of hers, they love this movie that she did, this horror film called Attack of the Bears. And it's about bears just at some point, and it's never really established how this happens or how they even did this, but how they planned it, how they, whatever. All the bears in the world unite against humanity. And there's a day, it's identified as June 4th, 1964, where that's the day that bears fought back. And it's just a dumb as fuck thriller, movie. It's a thriller more than straight horror. But that's the movie that like, the general public thinks of.
When I think of her.
Yeah. So she and she has like a bunch of different roles and stuff. And she's uh she's kind of a hilarious old lady, She's like she just has a lot of stories about, Hollywood from back in the day, you know, and she doesn't give a fuck and she will name fucking names in these stories,
Yeah, yeah.
not necessarily calling them out and saying that they like did anything bad. It's more like this is what was going on back then, and she is and she's she's just like a hilarious older lady, and she's sitting there on the front porch. She's got one of those like she's holding a cigarette and one of those long like Cruella DeVille type cigarette
The
holders,
holders. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you walk out and you see her and you're like, Miss St. Stevens, good morning. And she's like, she looks at you and she's like, good morning, Aaron. She goes, why? You look good enough to eat. And then she makes like a big show out of like blowing out like a bunch of smoke rings. She like raises an eyebrow at you.
Oh no, I don't like that.
Oh, and you just kind of like you blush and you just go, good morning. And like you walk and get your mail. You go inside and you're like, and you're kind of like your smile after your, daily greeting with Miss St. Stevens, it kind of like fades because you remember like, oh right, today I must honor a fallen hero. You walk over to your computer that you have set up in the corner, and it's like a fully decked out like gaming computer.
Okay.
And you sit down and you fire up. So basically, you in the past couple of years, you've gotten really into this like online. What are those called? Like the MMORPGs or whatever.
Oh, you like a World of Warcraft
Yeah.
kind
So
of
it's it's
games?
it's a it's a World of Warcraft esque thing.
I never got into
Um,
that.
yeah, but this one was able to kind of like draw you in. Like you got it for like for free. You won it also at the Limbo contest. That was like your secondary prize. So you were
Was a
like, well, fuck
copy of
it.
this game? What's the game
Yeah.
called?
It's called City of Goblins. City of Goblins is basically this like online role-playing game where it takes place in like fantasy times,
Yeah,
like kind of like almost like implied to be medieval times, except
sure.
there's advanced medieval weaponry in it where they have guns and they have things like that. They have cell phones and stuff, except it's like medieval technology version.
What do you mean by that?
So
What do you mean when you say it's medieval technology version, but it's a cell phone?
so you have like a smartphone that you can use to like contact other people in your guild or whatever,
Yeah, yeah,
except it's made out of like wood, you
yeah.
know, made out of like shit like that. And so some of
What
them
the fuck?
are made out of like marble.
What about batteries? Well, how are they powering this motherfucker?
You use they're powered magically. So you have like you need a certain you have to have a certain level of like magic skill, like a certain level to be able to use them. And as your magical skills increase, you're given access to better, medieval technology. So you're you log on to City of Goblins because so you were like deeply involved with this guild,
Oh,
and
I get really into it.
yeah, and
Yeah.
you are a part of this group of people who you've never met in person, but a few of them you count as some of your closest friends, like it's an online friend, but specifically through this game. And you guys, it's not like you guys play this game in character or anything like that. I mean, some of you guys do,
Sure.
but most of them don't. You guys talk as yourselves. Okay, guys, hey, what's up? And you kind of like get learning stuff about each other or each other's characters if they're in character. And so you get to know some of these guys pretty well. And one of them recently died in real life.
Oh no.
Yeah. And you guys are doing a basically an online funeral for him or like a wake, you know?
Okay.
So you log in and you meet up with your guild. And to be honest with you, Aaron, you're feeling kind of nervous
Why?
because you haven't actually seen your guild members in a little while. You guys kind of parted on not the best terms.
Oh, so I'm no longer in the guild.
The guild doesn't exist anymore. It's been like everyone's gone their separate ways.
Disbanded.
Yeah. And it took the death of um, Walter Hendrickson to bring them all together. But his
Really?
online character, his online character in your guild was a an archer, but he had like a he had some kind of like hack that he was able to do to give his character like shades and like like a leather jacket and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, look cool.
Yeah, and he called himself Nighthawk.
Nighthawk rules.
Yeah, and Nighthawk did. Nighthawk kind of, to be honest with you, was sort of the glue that kept the guild together.
Yeah. Okay.
And he was the guy that everybody, he was the leader of the guild, and it wasn't ever a thing that was said, and he never said like, "Hey guys, look, I'm in charge. What I say goes." Excuse me. It's more like he had he knew how to play the game really well, and he knew how to play people even better. He's sort of like the it's he was kind of like LBJ in that way, where he was able to he knew all of you and he knew what you guys wanted, and he was able to get what he wanted by putting pressure on you for what you want.
Sure. You know how to play the game.
You knew how to play the game, and that's what you say in your eulogy that you give. Your character, you're a you're a like a priestess.
All right.
You're and so you have like all this like magical powers that you can do, but your character is like just like this like buxom blonde, you know what I mean, wearing
Come
like
on.
kind of like a medieval like chainmail bikini type deal.
I wouldn't put her in a bikini, Pat. I got no problem playing a female character.
But the whole
But
thing
I'm not
about
gonna
this
sexualize her.
but the game City of Goblins, it's sort of like a throwback to like the 80s fantasy, swords and sorcery, you know what I mean?
Well
Conan
then
the
I'm not gonna I'm
Barbarian.
not I don't want to be a lady in a bikini.
It's just seen as normal, but also you just think it's kind of cool. So and so you're up there. Your character name is Cindy the Fantastic.
Cindy.
And so you give a speech and about Nighthawk, and you ended by saying, and that was Nighthawk. He knew how to play the game. And in front of you, you're on top of this like hill.
Yeah.
It was known as Nighthawk's favorite hill.
Yeah.
And so they're doing the ceremony there. And after the ceremony, that hill will be they talk to like the game developers, and that hill will forever be known as like in the manual and stuff will be known as Nighthawk's Hill.
Okay, that's cool.
So you guys do this, the wake there. So it's you standing on top of this hill, and it's like a beautiful view. It takes place of this fantasy magical world called the Rosy Realm. And It's you see like this beautiful view of the sun sinking, into the mountains of the Rosy Realm as you give this eulogy, and everybody else's online avatar characters are like kneeled around you.
Yeah, yeah, they're all kneeling.
Yeah, and afterward, you guys all hang out. You guys do like a thing where your characters, you guys all talk to each other and catch up. It's been a while, since the really cool friends have gotten
That was our
together.
guild.
The really cool friends.
They sucked. This all sucks.
And so you're talking to them, and you're talking to this one character. His character is a rogue. He's
Yeah.
always like looking around and stuff. He's like very like
Yeah.
you know, and he
Case in the joint.
absolutely, and he's like his character name is Belgardian, and Belgardian says he's like, "Hey Cindy, word on the street is that Nighthawk was this was no accident. He was moited." And you're like, "What?" And you're kind of like, "What the fuck?" And he kind of like, scuttles away. You eventually, about an hour or two later, you log off and go about your day. You go to sleep that night, and you have this kind of weird dream that you're in the online world. You're in
Okay.
City of Goblins. And on top of what's now known as Nighthawk's Hill, um, the online, character Nighthawk the Avatar, the video game character, um, he's like his like body is like crucified on a on like an X. It's not like a Christian cross, it's like an X,
Sure.
but the X's are made out of barbed wire.
Oh, Jesus.
And he looks up at you and he goes, "Avenge my murder, Aaron." And then like you
What
wake
the
up.
fuck?
You wake up and you're like, "Huh?" You look down at your phone, and there's like a group message started between you and the really cool friends. And one of them is like he's like, "Hey guys, it's really good to see you all last night, but I feel like we should get together again tonight online. I just had the weirdest dream. Dot dot dot." And everyone's like, "Yeah, me too." What would you do? Would you say like would you admit that you had the same dream?
I mean, yeah, if everybody's having the same dream, yeah,
And so you guys decide like to meet up online that night.
yeah,
So you guys y'all log on and you guys quickly go like, "Hey, so you guys all had that horrifying dream about Nighthawk?" And you're like, "Yeah, that he was murdered." Like everyone's like, "Yeah."
yeah,
And so they're like, "All right, the this one guy, his uh his online character is a barbarian with like a gigantic battle axe."
yeah.
Yeah. His character name is Bone Tooth the Bloody.
Yeah,
And he goes, it's almost like he's like trying to like usurp control. You know what I mean?
sure, sure.
He's like, "All right, guys, here's what I think we should do." He's like, "We have to like scatter out and like look for clues, basically."
Okay.
So he's like, he looks over at you. He goes, "Cindy, You come with me. And then
Bone tooth?
yeah, Bone Tooth the Bloody. He kind of like puts his battle axe tooth gnasher on his like shoulder, and he's like, I need you and like two others to like come with me. We're gonna go you guys are right next to this thing called the field of the unholy. That's what it's called in the game.
Yeah,
And when your characters go into the field of
yeah,
it doesn't matter like if you have other music playing or a video playing in the background or what. Every other sound stops. The only thing that you can hear, like you can hear each other talk and stuff, but like this takes over any kind of music that's happening in the background. You just hear
yeah.
like just like the like most like wicked guitar riffs you ever heard in your fucking life.
The field of the unholy.
Like that.
Yeah, I bet that picked up beautifully. That's gonna sound so good. So I hear these like super heavy riffs anytime I go into the field of the unholy.
Yeah. They change around. Sometimes it's like like that. But it's always like really like evil riffs.
Sure. Just when I'm physically in the field.
Yeah. So you're walking around and you walk over and you see like pinned to a tree trunk is like a note.
Okay.
And on the note, it says, Cindy.
I don't like this.
Do you open it?
Yeah.
So you open it up and it says, Don't tell your guild about this. But if you want to know what really happened to your friend, log back on at midnight and meet me
Oh
here.
fuck.
And
Not
then it says,
midnight.
then it says from a question mark.
I mean, yeah, then
But
I would log in at midnight to meet this mystery person.
would you tell the
No, I don't think I would.
one of them walks over, they're like, oh, they're like, Cindy, did you find anything?
Nope. Let's keep looking, guys.
So you guys keep looking for a while. Eventually, you come up with some kind of excuse for why you have to go. So you get off and you kind of like you're like, all right, like I'll log back on at midnight.
Yeah.
So you do that night. Midnight rolls around. You kind of like you're looking at like the clock on your wall. You got one of those like old school cat clocks that like clicks back and forth,
Tail,
or
yeah.
ticks back and forth, yeah, and the eyes too.
And the eyes.
And you're looking at it and you're like a single bead of sweat is running down your face. And right when it hits midnight, you just like log in.
Yeah.
You run down to the field of the unholy. Just the most evil, heavy riffs that you've ever heard in your
Yeah.
fucking life start playing in the background. You walk over to the tree stump, and there's like what looks like to be like a button on it, and
On
it
the tree
says,
stump?
yeah, and it says, press me if you want the truth. And then next to it is another button that says, press me for 20 more hit points.
I'm not touching either one of these fucking buttons. I'm waiting for this person. I'm there to meet a person. I'm not going to press either one of these. Both of them seems like they have some sort of extreme outcome. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait for the person to show up.
Yeah. So you kind of like, stand there listening to those heavy as fuck riffs that you feel in your
Sludgy.
bones.
Yeah.
Down. And you're like you're standing there and you look down and you see that those two buttons on the tree trunks have started like glowing.
I'm not touching those buttons. I'm not fucking with those buttons
You see like
because
arrows pointing down at them.
I'm there to meet somebody. What if one of those is like I don't know. What if it triggers something bad? What if I'm supposed to have somebody there with me? I'm gonna wait for this person.
So you're like, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. And so you turn around and again, because this is, it's like you're kind of being ironic, but kind of not. Like because it is a very much 80s Conan sword and sorcery influenced design that you had, you gave your avatar like a pretty big ass.
Hog.
Yeah,
Oh.
ass. And so because she remember she's like that like Red Sonja type
Oh
character or
yeah, yeah,
whatever.
yeah. I'm objectifying her for
Chainmail
sure.
bikini. Yeah.
Apparently.
So you
It's so fucking dumb.
you turn around and
No, my ass
her
is not
butt
so big that it
it absolutely is. It hits the button that says press if you want the truth. So you press it and it's the weirdest thing because this is during like summer in, Los Angeles. It's pretty warm out normally. But all of a sudden, it starts to become like noticeably colder
God damn it.
on like the mouth like the it comes starts on like the mouse, you know what I mean? The mouse that you're holding in your hand for the computer. And it stretches like it goes through the rest of your body. And you're like, ugh. And for a second, like you exhale and like you exhale like, you know, you can see the cold. And you're like, what the fuck? And you look into the computer screen, and all of a sudden, the um the field has been it's starting to like get a bunch of ice on it, you know? Like the
Like it's
grass is
freezing.
like yeah, the grass is like slowly starting to ice up. Slowly but like noticeably, you know?
Like the freeze is encroaching upon me.
Yeah.
God damn it.
There's a bunch of like dead birds fall from the sky like all
Great.
around you for a second
You
because they're
fucking
like so
kidding me?
cold. And
I never meant to be so cold.
you kind of hum that to yourself as you behold the character standing in front of your character. He's a man. And
Yeah.
even though it's a an online character, it's kind of it's like a cartoon thing kind of. It is easily the most bald man that you have ever seen in your life.
Yeah.
And you look at this this thing that is just some digital, whatever, drawing or whatever in front of you, whatever it is, however you want to describe it, some game engine, Even though
Yeah.
you know that, you look at it and you can almost like you imagine yourself like running your hand across that bald digital dome and you imagine like, you know, sparks flying from how fucking bald this man is. His uh his eyes are a shade of blue, a deep shade of blue that you feel like you haven't seen since you were a child. And he's got like rows and rows of like shark teeth.
Yeah.
And even though it's a medieval, style of game, he's wearing he's wearing modern clothing. And it is the sharpest suit that you've ever seen in your fucking life.
This sucks.
And he goes, hello, Cindy. My username is Icebones Jones. I killed your friend. Now you're gonna die.
What
And
the
then
fuck?
with like a one smooth, quick motion, almost so quick that you can't see it, like it leaves like an
What the
after image.
fuck?
He
Why
just
such a
slices
buildup?
slices your character's throat, and like it just like falls over, and your computer like turns off, and you're
That
like,
sucks.
and you go, "What the hell?" And you look up, and your computer's like turned off or whatever, and you see in the reflection behind you, even though you thought that the guy, all you can register before a hatchet is brought down into your fucking skull
Jesus Christ, Pat.
is just how fucking bald this guy in the reflection is.
God damn it. This sucks. Fuck this. Fuck him. Such a long buildup to just no explanation, no justification. I killed your friend and I'm gonna kill you too. It's just
you
killing me.
you solved the mystery.
Fuck this.
You found out who killed Nighthawk. It's
Yeah, I sure
Icebones
did.
Jones.
Yeah. Fuck this. Fuck him.